Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, My Hero Academia. Virtual Extract. Chapter 6, Invitation from Kamui Woods. Puff. Seeing the muscular bloodthirsty man falling stiffly, the audience was deadly silent. After a long while, someone reacted from surprise and shocked. That muscle bloodthirsty man was defeated. Less than a minute. Etsuha wins. Won. Even the voice of the Death Red Fist was trembling. He looked at Etsuha's figure, still recalling the previous battle in his mind. Swift and deadly, every action is impeccable. From start to finish, the muscular bloodthirsty man didn't even touch Etsuha's clothes, and all his attacks were easily resolved. It's that simple victory. At this level, even Death Chiquan is not ashamed. If the villain just now is Etsuha, I am afraid that his ending will not be any better than the muscle bloodthirsty man. Doesn't this mean that Etsuha's strength is already comparable to professional heroes? Thinking of this, Death Chiquan suddenly woke up. Where is the rumored non-quirk of this guy? Surprisingly a genius. As if he had noticed Death Chicken's gaze, Etsuha looked back and took a look, somewhat relaxed. Uncle, this villain doesn't seem to be that powerful. Not that great. Death's red fist was hit immediately. This guy is simply despising himself. Opponents of this level are not that powerful, so isn't you just a little guy? For a while, his teeth tickled with a red fist, but he was helpless. When the two were talking, a branch suddenly entangled, and the whole branch was dark brown, showing considerable flexibility to climb to the top of an electric pole. Immediately afterwards, a heroes with a mask pulled a branch and rushed over, and this heroes is the currently very popular newcomer heroes, Kamui Woods. Where is the criminal? Is anyone injured? Kamui Woods shouted anxiously. He was one of the first to receive the news, and it was late because of road problems. According to intelligence, the criminal, muscle bloodthirsty man, who escaped here is one of the very dangerous villain. The heroes, Death Red Fist, and Fire Ambition, and others here may not be able to control the situation and cause a major accident. Kamui Woods was already prepared, but when he came to Tanshoin town, his heart sank. The scene in front of him was too messy. Not only was half of the supermarket wall destroyed, but also ice cones appeared that made his heart dignified. Could it be that there is more than one villain? Before he could continue to think about it, Death Chiquan stopped Kamui Woods and said, "The muscle bloodthirsty man has been arrested by us, and this place has been cleaned up." Kamui Woods was stunned. What about the murderous criminals? Could it be that Death Chiquan's strength has taken a qualitative leap? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but admire Death Red Fist and said, "I didn't expect your progress to be so fast, even this powerful villain can be defeated." Ha ha ha, I'm not that strong. Death burst into laughter. Could it be that a certain big man made the shot? Kamui Woods's mind immediately showed a few familiar names, which made him even more awe-inspiring. No, it's this kid. Death slapped Etsuha's shoulder with emotion. So it was Etsuha. Kamui Woods looked in a trance. He graduated in the same class as Yu Takayama and was also familiar with Etsuha. So the moment he saw Etsuha, he thought it was Etsuha's sister Yu Takayama who defeated the opponent. But soon he came back to his senses, and his eyes suddenly became exciting. Wait, you said Etsuha defeated the muscular bloodthirsty man who could kill the professional heroes. Death Chiquan nodded helplessly. Yes, it's him. Isn't he without quirk? Kamui Woods feels that his worldview is under attack. This little is so powerful. Uncle, how many times have I said that? I am not without quirk, but hidden quirk. Don't you confuse it, okay? Etsuha corrected his explanation. When he noticed his quirk, Etsuha told Yu Takayama that he was not without the quirk, but had not met the trigger conditions. Many heroes were there at the time, and they laughed after hearing Etsuha's words, thinking it was a child's delusion. It happened that Kamui Woods was one of them. When Etsuha reminded him, he suddenly remembered that Etsuha did say that he was hiding the quirk a few years ago. He didn't care at all at the time. He didn't expect that what this guy said was true. It actually hides the quirk. Kamui Woods was even more surprised. Generally speaking, the quirk awakened in his later years does not fit too much with the body. It is easy to cause the quirk to be strong, but the body is not enough to support it. But Etsuha is obviously not like that. Quirk has just awakened and defeated the muscle bloodthirsty man. This talent is simply unimaginable. This is definitely an unprecedented example. Kamui Woods couldn't help but said, Etsuha, how about coming to my hero's office after you graduate from UA? Etsuha contemptuously said, I must go to my sister's office, uncle. I'm the brother. Kamui Woods retorted. Chapter 7 UA's admission recommendation. In the conversation between the two, Yu Takayama also rushed over. After realizing that Etsuha was okay, she was relieved first, and then also asked, where is the fugitive? Ah, he has been defeated by your brother. A crowd of onlookers told her. Ha, Yu Takayama looked cute. When did my younger brother have this ability? And it's a spike. The man added. Ha, no unexpected reaction. But as an older sister, Yu Takayama is of course privileged. She grabbed Etsuha, who was about to return to school, and slammed his head and said, what's the matter with your quirk? It's ice. Ice. Etsuha shouted reluctantly. Making ice. It's interesting. Quirk. When did I wake up? Why don't I know? Yu Takayama showed a sad expression. Alas, Etsuha has grown up and has begun to learn to hide her sister. This is a hidden quirk. I mentioned it to you a few years ago. Etsuha took out the previous remarks again. Sure enough, as soon as he heard the hidden quirk, Yu Takayama's expression became exciting and couldn't help but suspiciously said, is it really hidden quirk? Obviously, she didn't take it seriously at the time, and until now Etsuha completely revealed her quirk, she suddenly remembered that there was such a statement back then. Etsuha is full of black lines. Seeing Etsuha's dissatisfied look, Yu Takayama rubbed his head and laughed, okay, it's my sister's fault. But to be honest with my sister, how strong is your quirk? Is this important? Etsuha asked rhetorically. Very important. Yu Takayama nodded seriously. Etsuha thought for a while, and said, it can easily freeze a large river in an instant. It's such a rare intensity. Yu Takayama's eyes lit up. If this is the case, I will arrange for you to be recommended by UA later. You want to go to UA, right? With this strength, it's totally you can enter UA directly without the exam. Is there a test for recommended admissions? Of course, and the difficulty is very high, but it shouldn't matter to you. Oh, I don't care. Oh, what's the reaction? This is UA. Even with your abilities, it might not be amazing. Oh, smelly boy. In the fight between the siblings, the incident gradually came to an end. Thanks to such a vicious incident, Etsuha did not go to school for the next few days, and Yu Takayama also began to prepare for him the admission test for UA. However, the impact of the attack on the muscle bloodthirsty man has not passed. With the fermentation of time, Etsuha's classmates also gradually learned the cause of the incident, which caused an uproar in the class for a while. Hey, have you heard that Shina has awakened quirk, and it has caused quite a stir? Did you know? Not only did Shina awaken quirk, but she was also very powerful. The fugitive had never touched Shina's clothes from beginning to end. Hey, what is this? Etsuha also applied for UA's admission recommendation. As long as he passes the examination, he can enter UA directly without passing the exam. No wonder he didn't come to class these days, he was preparing for the admission test of UA. I don't care about this, I just want to send the blade to Etsuha. Why is my queen Acide so dead? I want to hack him to death. The old Etsuha thief of the dog day. Snapped. Suddenly, the sound of the cans being exploded by flames came out, quieting the discussion in the class. Upon seeing this, a thin, green-haired teenager couldn't help but awkwardly said round the scene, Xiaosheng, are you okay? Etsuha got the quirk, we should be happy. It's really unpleasant for someone who doesn't have a quirk to awaken the quirk. Bakugo Katsuki snorted coldly, clenching his fist. Etsuha said he was hiding the quirk, the green-haired boy retorted in a low voice. Ha! Bakugo Katsuki's eyes became murderous. Do you think you can suddenly get quirk like Etsuha? It's impossible. Asshole stinks for a long time. Midoriya Izuku stopped talking. Hey, boring guy. Bakugo Katsuki sipped. Shina is just a shit. There are many elites who have recommended admission qualifications. Whether he can pass the test is not certain, huh? Etsuha is really a hidden quirk. UA's admission recommendation, I am envious. Midoriya Izuku's eyes showed a look of yearning. Like professional heroes, Midoriya Izuku and others also heard Etsuha say about hiding the quirk, and Midoriya Izuku believed Etsuha's words. Bakugo Katsuki gave him a cold look, did not say anything, and left with his school bag. Little victory. Midoriya Izuku looked at Bakugo's back, his lips moved, but in the end he didn't say anything. Chapter 8 Inches Naruto, released. Back to Yu Takayama's hero's office, Yu Takayama came to Etsuha with a bunch of materials, and said with a headache, "It's weird. Usually, the quirk that manipulates a single element is as rare as it is. I didn't expect this time UA. I found at least 2 people, and one of them has similar abilities to Etsuha." "What's the matter?" Etsuha, who was preparing a new manga, turned around and asked in surprise. UA's application for admission is approved, but this time your opponent is Endeavor's son. Yu Takayama snarled at the information. The 2 people with the same quirk must have been replaced by a superior, and according to the information on the information. From the description point of view, Shoto Todoroki's ability seems to be even more extraordinary. Not only can he manipulate ice like you, but he can also manipulate flames. These 2 elements are actually concentrated on one person. So powerful. The other heroes next to him were surprised from ear to ear. Is the abilities of the new generation of little guys subverted? Quirk is actually a combination of fire and ice. Tisk tisk tisk, it is really unimaginable. I have also heard of Shoto Todoroki. His quirk is half cold and half burning. The cold half can instantly freeze a building, which is very powerful. There is another guy who can manipulate the storm. Oh my god, this time UA actually recruited so many geeks, I wonder if the next All Might will appear. Etsuha also curiously took the pile of materials and checked it out. In addition to Shoto Todoroki, there is also the familiar Yaoyorozu Momo. Yu Takayama reminded. This Shoto Todoroki is one of your main opponents. Due to the duplication of quirk, the 2 of you are likely to have a battle. In addition to the usual tests, UA may also arrange an exceptional one-on-one for you. Fight until one side proves that its quirk is stronger. You have to fight after graduating from junior high school. The people on the side exclaimed. After all, it is UA, and this is expected. However, it is hard to guess the strength of Endeavor's son. If it doesn't work, then give up. In addition to the admission recommendation, Etsuha can still enter UA through the normal way. There is no big loss. Idiot, how can the benefits of admission recommendation be comparable to ordinary exams? This is also. Admission recommendation means that you can enter UA early. For this period of time, UA has a high probability of training students. The benefits of this are obvious. Don't worry about fighting, it's better to say that my quirk is more inclined to fight. Etsuha said to Yu Takayama. It's okay. Hey, this is your new manga. Is the previous one finished? Yu Takayama's attention quickly shifted to Etsuha's body. It was a drawn manuscript with the picture above. Rarely, only a big fox can be seen roaring under the moon. But judging from the thickness of the original manuscript, Etsuha has already drawn part of the plot. Etsuha nodded, presented the manga, and presented a few complete characters in front of Yu Takayama. Naruto. Is this the name of the new manga? It's a weird title. Yu Takayama picked up the manga with a casual look, but was quickly attracted by the plot. He read it for several minutes and breathed a sigh of relief. After reading all the previous plots, he was awakened suddenly. What about the follow-up? It hasn't been released yet, so I have drawn so many temporarily. Etsuha was interrupted in the middle of his speech, and Yu Takayama screamed, "Draw it!" Etsuha. Unlike the short comics he drew before, such as Zon Crimson Eyes, Naruto is definitely a long migrant manga, and even Etsuha feels a headache for a large number of plots. However, he worked in a similar profession in his previous life. He has done enough analysis of many well-known comics, and the various plots have long been memorized, and he will not forget it. Similarly, taking out Naruto at this time was also the result of Etsuha's deliberation. Although migrant workers require a lot of energy, it is an excellent choice to gain fame. This can be seen from the rapid rise in popularity of Naruto once it was broadcast. It is unceremonious to say that as long as time is in place, the fire is only a matter of time. After an afternoon of rushing for the draft, Etsuha finally completed the first few words of Naruto, and immediately contacted the editor of Jump to submit the manuscript, and it passed the review without accident. Just at this moment, a good-looking young lady ran in from outside and said hurriedly, "Etsuha-chan, UA's people are here." Chapter 9 Aizawa Shota lost in thought. So fast. Etsuha was a little surprised. He didn't expect that his sister had just brought back the information, and Yue's people had already come to the door. After tidying up the clutter on the desk, he followed the young lady to the downstairs of the office, and at first glance he saw a man with a haggard look. This is Shina Etsuha. The young lady introduced to the man in front of her, and then said to Etsuha, "This is Yue's teacher, Oak, Eraserhead. Eraserhead is my hero's name. My real name is Aizawa Shota, you can call me Teacher Aizawa." Aizawa Shota glanced at Etsuha and introduced himself. It's hard to imagine that this is Yue's teacher. The image of Aizawa Shota is a bit sloppy, with a pair of listless eyes underneath his loose long hair, and his weak appearance makes people unable to help doubt his strength. At the same time, the stubble on the chin was scattered everywhere like weeds. Even if Etsuha had heard of his name, the impression score in his heart would inevitably decrease at this time. But Etsuha still greeted honestly, "Hello, teacher. Well, please take care of me." Aizawa Shota doesn't like to talk too much. After looking at Etsuha for a few times, he said lightly, "I heard that your quirk is also related to ice. I think you should know that it is also eligible for admission. Among the students, there is another person who has the same quirk as yours." Etsuha nodded, and Aizawa Shota continued, "The same quirk must have a subordinate relationship. You should have heard about this. Today, the school asked me to come in advance to inform you about this matter. You and Shoto Todoroki, there will be a one-on-one battle between the two. I will explain the specific rules later. Come with me. I really have to face Shoto Todoroki." The corner of Etsuha's mouth bends a little. He guessed a similar result when he chose Asid's ability, but he didn't expect it to be so fast. Moreover, whether Tegu is strong or Shoto Todoroki's quirk is strong, Etsuha is also very interested. Wait. Mount Lady chased down from upstairs and called Aizawa Shota. Will the battle between them be open to the outside world? Aizawa Shota turned back and explained, "I'm sorry, Mount Lady, the admission recommendation assessment is considered the school's privacy, and it is impossible for outsiders to come in and visit. As for the other content, I should have talked with you in detail on the phone. Don't worry. That's it, MT." Lady was helpless and had to gesture to Etsuha to cheer. "Go Etsuha-chan, sister will cheer for you." The young lady on the side also smiled and watched Etsuha leave with Aizawa Shota. Following Aizawa Shota, Etsuha quickly saw Yue's bus. It seemed that Aizawa Shota did not come here specially for himself, and even brought other people with him. Before boarding the bus, he suddenly said, "Ms. Aizawa." Huh. Aizawa Shota looked back suspiciously. "Will the battle between us limit the quirk? I mean, for example, if I released my nirvana with all my strength and caused great damage to Yue, what will happen?" Aizawa Shota's heart moved slightly, and the secret path is worthy of being Mount Lady's younger brother. He has realized his nirvana when he is only so old. He pondered and said, "There will be a teacher to stop you at that time." "Then what if the teacher is too late?" Etsuha explained sincerely. "I mean, my nirvana is a bit dangerous and powerful, and it is difficult for others to control. This is to give Aizawa Shota a vaccination in advance. As the well-known queen of Shake S, the abilities developed by his emperor are also quite abnormal. Not to mention the icicles that are tens or hundreds of meters away, all kinds of small skills are quite powerful, and if you carelessly, it is an over-range ice skill that can freeze a 100-meter wide river. In other words, once it breaks out completely, Etsuha is likely to freeze a large area, and the impact will be more than just the ring, and it is not known who will compensate for the losses." However, Aizawa thought that Etsuha was just joking. He shook his head helplessly and said, "You are too underestimating the professional hero's control ability. Just do it without worry. By that time, all losses caused by the battle will be compensated by Yue, and the responsibility will also be borne by Yue responsible for." Etsuha's eyes lit up. He was waiting for these words, and got on the bus quickly. This kid is so self-confident. It seems that Mount Lady protects him very well, an enviable fellow. Aizawa Shota looked a little funny at Etsuha's back, the nirvana that professional heroes can't stop it. How can it be? Thinking of this, his eyes suddenly turned to the newspaper placed on the bus, and a series of eye-catching headlines on it attracted him. "The strongest ice quirk is born. Death Chicken publicly stated that he was inferior to Shina Etsuha. Close double angle bracket." Aizawa Shota suddenly fell into thought. Chapter 10 UA Bus. With that guy's strength, it should be, no. Aizawa Shota doesn't know Etsuha very well. After all, the bloodthirsty male incident only happened in Tanshoin town, and the spread is not very large. But the content of the newspaper in front of me was so straightforward that even Aizawa Shota couldn't help but take a closer look. The content of the newspaper probably wrote about Etsuha's fighting performance, such as the superb fighting response, and the exaggerated huge cone of ice, and so on. The content seems to be quite false, and Aizawa Shota would definitely not care about it before, but when I thought of Etsuha just now, an unknown premonition emerged in my heart. Eraserhead, what are you thinking about? A teacher with long golden hair came over, giving people a different punk feeling. His name is Brescent Mike, an English teacher at UA High School. Quirk is a super noise. It is said that the cry of birth caused blood to the eardrums of doctors and parents. I'm fine. Aizawa Shota recovered from thinking, glanced at the newspaper again, and couldn't help but laugh. It was strange that he was bluffed by a little guy. No matter how Nirvana is, it is also in the category of quirk. With your own ability, you should be able to easily stop it. Weird guy. Bresant Mac glanced at the newspaper and shrugged helplessly. This time, UA has some more powerful guys. Quote. No one answered. Mr. Mike was in an awkward position. After Etsuha got on the bus, he found a few familiar faces, and swept them down one by one. He quickly found a lovely girl sitting in the double seat alone. Etsuha smiled immediately, walked to the girl's side, and smiled. Hello, can I sit here? Yes. Yaoyorozu Momo turned around, and when he saw Etsuha's face, he exclaimed for a moment, Are you Shina Etsuha? Do you know me? Etsuha sat down next to Yaoyorozu Momo somewhat unexpectedly. Of course. Yaoyorozu Momo pointed to the document beside him and said, This time it is mainly to determine the quirk between you and Shoto Todoroki. Even if they haven't seen you before, most people also know about you and Shoto Todoroki. I don't know if the 4 words, Shina Etsuha, have attracted everyone's attention, and the students around them also looked over in surprise. Is this Shina Etsuha? It looks like a handsome ordinary boy. Looking at the information, he has become a cartoonist a long time ago. I didn't expect to have such a powerful quirk. It is really enviable. Weird guy, on the surface you can't see the quirk he has at all. This is also an enviable ability. Amidst the discussion, the bus gradually started. At the same time, Aizawa Shota also motioned to Bresant Mike to explain to the students. Bresant Mac coughed twice and took the microphone and said, Hello everyone, welcome to the admission test of UA, I am your examiner Brescent Mac, next to him is Aizawa Shota, and the hero's name is Eraser Head. Hearing the name of this strange heroes, many students showed a dazed look. Obviously they didn't understand why a heroes would be called such a strange name. Bresant Mac did not hesitate and continued. This time the admissions assessment will last for 2 days. The school will test your various abilities separately, and those who fail will be kicked out of admission recommendation qualifications. But before this, due to the overlap of quirks, Shina Etsuha and Shoto Todoroki will take the lead in the screening competition. As with the test rules, those who fail will be directly eliminated for admission qualifications. Here is coming, the screening competition, directly screen out a winner, this rule is too cruel. As expected, UA would use this method. But I still prefer Shoto Todoroki. After all, he is Endeavor's son, but Shina is definitely not bad. There was a commotion beside him, and countless eyes were looking at Etsuha's position. Etsuha himself was unmoved and did not make any expressions about the screening. Aren't you afraid? Yaoyorozu Momo couldn't help but ask. Etsuha was surprised. Why are you afraid? That's the son of Endeavor, the second-ranked heroes. It doesn't matter, I have confidence in myself. Etsuha smiled slightly. Classmates over there. Yes, it's you, Shina Etsuha. Bresant Mike immediately noticed the 2 people whispering and asked Etsuha by name, Do you have anything you want to say? Yes. Etsuha stood up. Isn't here? This is a good question. Classmate H is close to UA, and he has already entered UA 1 step ahead of time. Well, I just have a question to ask you, do you have any thoughts about this screening match? Etsuha thought for a while, and said lightly, I don't have any opinion, I won't lose. crunch. At this time, the bus braked and arrived at the stop. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.